Hi, lovely people. How are you? I hope you're well, and I also hope I'm audible. It's my lunch break, and I've just remembered something that crossed my mind today. And I don't know, I've ever shared the story on Facebook, but I've never shared it here. But I thought it's good to share it so that I can encourage somebody who is worried. You know, there's so much going on in the world, and sometimes people don't know where to turn to. Growing up, I grew up in a village. So when I say I'm a village girl, I am actually a village girl, and life was good. I was a daughter of a farmer, for a mom who also did some businesses here and there, and a fundi is a contractor who builds houses. That was my dad's job. And it was a nice life. And one of the things that our parents did, they were very strict in Martha's church. So they ensured every Sunday it was compulsory for you to go to church, whether you like it or not. So what I realized actually for us, the girls, we have girls and boys in my family. So the girls stuck in the church line up to our adulthood. Then when we reached at some point, some of the kids decided they don't want to go to church, but anyway, the parents did their part in taking us to church, which is very crucial. So when I was since I was as long as I can remember, like when I joined primary school, even in kindergarten a bit, but I can remember in primary school, I had this issue of nose bleeding for as long as I can remember. And in the innocence of a child, I used to think like maybe it's something normal, it's part of me. It was very, very serious. It was very serious, so that to some extent, by the time I was in grade 3, I could actually, it was hard for me. When I bend like this, blood would just come out of the nose. When I did hard tasks, I don't know, and we tried going to so many hospitals, we tried seeing so many doctors, but we never got a solution. And for me as a kid, the innocence of kids, I thought it's normal. It never used to bother me. So, and the best part of it was, especially in primary school, I was happy because I was not given hard duties. You know, in the village, when kids go to school, you're supposed to clean your classes, you're supposed to take care of the compound, clear the flower bed, sweep, all that. So I used to be given very light duties, and in most cases I was a prefect because I was also bright in class. So I never used to get those hard tasks, and teachers also handling me a bit with care because sometimes they were afraid unaweza nigonga and then I nosebleed. So anyway, it continued all the way, and many a times I just remember I even knew how to do first aid on my own. Sometimes how the doctor advises you to pinch your nose and then you bend, then play something cold. I used to do all that, but sometimes it could not stop. So what I used to do as a child, because sometimes I don't want to tell people, I don't want to keep bothering people. If I notice I'm bleeding and I'm in school, in those lower primary years, I'll just run to the field. The teachers wouldn't ask me. Then I would look up like this. So as I nosebleed, I would swallow that blood. Instead of it coming out, I just stay like this. And it didn't used to bother me so much. So I would stay in this position for a while. I measure all those clothes, all that. And then until it clears, I go back to class. Most of the time my dress was messed up, but anyway, many a times my parents would be calling, and my mom was home. Most of the time my dad was working, so she would come, we go to hospital. The doctors will look at you, they don't know how to resolve, they don't know what the problem is. There was one specific doctor. If you come from Nyeri, in my area, Gitero, we used to have this guy called Kifarua, but I heard he passed on, his soul rest in peace. He was like the village, the whole locality, district private doctor. And he used to be so nice. And also those days life was so good. Imagine you could go to public hospitals, you're treated, you get everything, drugs for free. So we were all equalized. We didn't have to go even to a private hospital. But it reached a point when I was, so Kifaro used to know me. If you guys are from my locality, you know him. So I go and I say, hey, in my local dialect, Msichana, you're back again. You nosebleed. Like in Kikuyu, he would say, Kairetu, no harege. And then he would give us some painkillers, sometimes injections, I don't know for what, and that would be it. So we continued like that, and I learned to live with it. It never used to bother me. But when I became was it a teenager? when I was in class 8, I was about to join. I passed very well, and then I was about to join high school. So it was that space where those days when you finish class 8, then you've gotten your admission letter. This December, and then you stay. You get your results end of December. Then you stay home for January. You join school in Feb. Those old days, millennials in Kenya can understand this. So that's what happened. But then during December, we used to have this. See, I've told you we were brought up in church, so I used to love going for these youth camps and teens camps. So me and my sister, but my brothers, they never used to like it. So me and my sister, we really followed our parents in those Christianity stuff, and I'm glad I did. So we used to love going for youth camps. They were teens and youth combined. So we would go to a school, we would go to our main headquarter church in the town. And it was also, for one, I used to love it because, in the village you do a lot of manual work. But now, when you go for those camps, it's a space of a whole week. You're like on vacation, no going to the farm, nothing. You're just resting, and then you praise, worship God, and all that stuff that's done in a teens. Then you interact with other teens from other churches, because it used to be like the whole district of churches, they gather in one place. So all the teens, and then you see now, because you're from different different schools, we share our experiences. It was a nice one, especially for teens. Even, okay, I don't know if nowadays how it happens, but it was a good one. If they still do those things, it's good. So that time when we went there, we were being taught about faith also, building our Christian faith and all that. And I was how old was I think around maybe 13, 14. I can't remember, but we were young, so we were being taught about growing in faith as a teenager, and that time there was this preacher who had been invited. He was really praying for people. I remember, and guys, I am not kidding. That guy prayed for a woman who didn't have teeth and literally mad. So it was not during that function. We had the reputation from the guys who had attended another camp, and they sent us even photos. Those days it was the hard copy photos. We saw it. It was a testimony. So we were so excited when we heard this preacher is coming to the camp. So when something just told me, by the way, actually, before I forget, that December, before now, I joined high school, the nose bleeding had become too much, and my dad actually had a friend doctor who recommended him to a specialist. So we went, and the specialist said the only solution to this problem ni tuchome mapua. I don't know how to say it in English, and I don't know what that is, but literally it means like we choma the veins of the nose. They sort of restrict the nostril veins. I don't know, and they were to use something. They were saying burn, literally burning with fire. I don't know now what they were to use to burn. And we had even an appointment. I was to go through it before I joined high school. So that was later I think around January. I can't remember well, before I joined high school in Feb. And I used to nosebleed at least in a week. It's almost daily. So it was something that was kawa. And that time, I don't know, after we were taught about faith, something just opened up. I didn't know much about faith. I just heard about miracles. Jesus did miracles. In my innocence, in my innocent faith as a young teen, I told God, hey, by the way, if these things are real, if we are told that God can perform a miracle, so may I have a need. Like, I'm supposed to go and burn. Hiyo kitu ilikuwa inanisikia when I had naenda kuchomwa. So nikasema, now, hey, sitaenda kuchomwa. What about, let me try before niende kuchomwa, because after the camp we were to go for an appointment, and then we prepare for that procedure rather. Nikasema mimi siendi kuchomwa, before niende kuchomwa, so why don't I try this faith we've been taught the whole camp? And it was actually the last day of the camp. So we were told God can do anything. That preacher came, alikuwa fired up. Those days of crusades za kitambo. Nowadays I can relate it to Rema Fest that now happens in Kenya. It used to be nice. We were hyped, and then now he says he reached a point where now he was to pray for people who have issues. So he said, God is the one who will perform miracles. He mentioned the miracles that God performed in the Bible, as you guys know. And now, as a young teen, I don't know where I got this kind of faith, or I was just risking it. It's not that it was anything major that I did. And then I used to pray for people wengine wanaanguka. Mi nilienda tu, akasema, now if you have something to tell God to do for you, just believe he's gonna do it and come. We pray together. So watu wakatokelezea. And then for me, I'm like, do I go? Do I not? Do I go? And then I was like, wacha tu niende. And then I said, hey, let me go tell God about my nose bleeding problem before niende kuchoma na doki. So that now I went to the altar, then he prayed for people. It was a big number. It was not only me, and he was not even touching everybody. He just prayed for everyone overally, and then we were told also tell God your need and what you want. So I told God, by the God, I've had this since I can remember. Nosebleed. I've had this nose bleeding issue, and if you can stop it, I would really be happy. I pray that you may stop it, perform a miracle and stop it, so that I stop nose bleeding now that I'm going to boarding school, high school kwanza. So I just said a simple prayer. I don't even remember anything dramatic happening. Even the people are falling, others were, a lot was happening. But me as a teenie, I was just standing there. So I just believed God, like we had been told. Simple, you see, simple faith. I believed I'll be well. And I just believed in my heart. I've left it at God's feet. So that's it. So we were praying for, and that was it. So we went, the camp was done. So the next morning we were leaving for home. Guys, that day, that December, it was 19. It is kitambo, meaning Zen, millennial proper. It's been, that day was the last day, not even that day, I don't remember if I had nosebleed, but after that day, the following day we were leaving for home. I was so used, it just comes like, it is part of, there you kohoa, you sneeze, it happens. So for me, nosebleeding was kawa. I could be bending, packing my stuff. So we woke up, we packed our things, tukaenda home with excitement. We left because we were with a group of other teens and youth from my church. We went home together. We reached home. It was a whole day, and something hit me. What? Okay, today it's a nosebleed. Okay, but I was like, okay, because sometimes it never used to happen daily. So tukaendelea, and life moved on. Then it was I think on Saturday. Then Sunday we went to church and all that. Then the next week came, another week came, guys. It just hit me. Wow, God, I've not been nosebleeding. So I told my parents, now I'm not nosebleeding. So Miss Yoni, it was like now a month. I'm like, so Sioni haja, I don't think we need to go back to the doctor because anyway, that problem has stopped. I don't even know whether my parents took it seriously. Actually, if they'll watch this video, one day I need to revisit when I go home. Because I think that phase as a young teen, I want to tell you guys, it's been over 20-something years later. I can't tell the exact number, but I have never, ever, guys, never, ever nosebleed again. The other day, it is last year that I actually remember, sometimes when you're teaching our kids about God, about faith, if you're in the faith, it's good to teach them your faith, because if you don't teach them your faith, there are so many other doctrines being paraded out there, and someone will mislead them. Because I believe people will say, oh, I don't know what, I don't know, but it's important for you to be connected to a higher being, because who will you turn to when you cannot turn to anyone around you? So I've been teaching my kids about faith. We've been taking them to church also, because for me, I find it beneficial and I love being in that path. But I've not forced them to do anything. I take them to church. They go through they go through the process, but it's mandatory for us. Then I was teaching them about faith because I learned it from that simple angle. So I told them that story, and my God, it really encouraged. I was so happy when I saw their reaction. It was so nice to see now to be able able to tell them with a tangible example. You know, they just read in the Bible, Jesus turned water into wine, Jesus performed miracles, but now I was telling them something that is so tangible on mom. And that now I was even encouraging them, even before my daughter, the older one, joined high school because she's in boarding. I was telling her now, sometimes mom and dad are not there to give you solutions to what you may need or even ideas, but you can call unto God because he's there and he hears. He will answer you because like he answered mom. You guys, I'm just here to encourage somebody that the same way I was telling my kids, God hears even the simplest of the prayers. You don't need to do something so huge for him to hear you. You don't need to travel Jimbakaware. Even when you're walking, you're going somewhere, just make God know that God is our friend and is here with us. He's not somewhere actually. We have to have a very special occasion to talk to him. Talk to him like you talk to your friends. Sometimes even if you're working, if you're in your house, whatever you're doing, just have a conversation with God. And that's how I've taught my kids to pray. And it's good, and I always prompt them and remind them to pray. And I also take them to task. Have you been praying? Do you talk to God? Because when God says talk to him, he literally means that. Just talk to him, as in ongea tu na yeye. He talk to him. You talk to him and tell him your needs like a friend, and then he answers prayers, guys. And I was giving you a testimony so that you can be encouraged that God, for sure, he doesn't need you to be very special. Because me, I wasn't even a teen, now super holy. I was just a young teen, happy, brought up in church, but doing any normal things that teens do. But God for sure answered my prayer, and he gave me a permanent solution. That thing encourages me, because sometimes you may pray and God doesn't answer you immediately. Because imagine, I know my parents used to pray for me, and I had been bleeding for forever, for over 10 years. But that moment in time, God answered my prayer. That has really been encouraging me. Me nowadays, I pray about anything. I pray about anything. I tell God about, if I'm going for a meeting, I'll tell God, please take charge. If I'm driving or I'm in the car, I tell God, please, you're here sitting at the driver's seat with me, so I'm not alone. Whatever I'm doing, I've learned to seek God. I pray to God about the most trivial or the simplest things you may imagine. Because he's my friend. Me, I'll talk to him. Talk to him about your hairstyle. Talk to him about your mind, what you're thinking. Tell him those things that you think are bad. Kwanza, God knows everything. If you think that you're hiding, so you won't tell him. If you're thinking about something that you feel is not right, you're like, hey God, my mind is going this way. Even in the homes, about our families, in relationships, just talk to God. Teach your kids also to know that they have somebody they can talk to when you're not there, and that is God. So you guys, God truly answers prayers. That is the testimony I want to share and encourage you guys. There's so many things he has answered prayers until those things we consider very trivial. And if I say, some of them, you can't even say them here, but simple things. And from praying, me, that's how I pray, by the way. Me, I just talk to God. Basically, like even right here when I was doing this video, I talk to him and say, God, let this just reach the person you expect to hear this message, who you intend to hear this message, or someone who is discouraged. So guys, if you feel like you've reached your end, usikae tu, don't just sit there and be hopeless. Please try to talk to God, and he may not answer immediately sometimes, but for sure he hears prayers and he answers. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. My name is Helen. I even forgot to say my name at the beginning, but I appreciate all of you, and I hope somebody has been encouraged to know that God for sure answers prayers. I'll leave you with something from the Bible, Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Everyone knows it. God's purpose for you is not to suffer. God's purpose for you is to have a good life, and he says, I know the plans I have for you. So before you even do anything, just know that God actually knows the plans he has for you, and he knows what you're intending to do. So why not just involve him in all your daily activities? And if you have anything that's bothering you, talk to him about it, and at the right time, I know he's gonna answer prayers. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and see you on the next video.